Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Hermanos y hermanas, ¿cómo estamos? Alhamdulillah. Let's see if I can get this to work properly. Boom. This is an old flyer that I made, pero we're going to be going over the Tajwid. Just two main rules of the Qalqalah and the rules of the letter Nun. So let's see. Bismillah, As-salamuAlaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to the class of Tajwid. Of course, in English, we're going to extend or put double E right here so you can get the E sound. Pero ya saben que hago todo in Spanglish, so that's why we get different terms. Tajwid is a term familiar to those who have learned to recite the Quran. The pure meaning of the word is to perfect, beautify, or improve. In Islam, it is a set of rules to help readers recite the Quran in the same way that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, learned from Jibreel. So something amazing about the revelation of the Quran is that how it's put together and how it's recited. The Arabic letters and the words that we see is literally the recital. So at different times in the previous class or program, I try to explain to you guys that we can't over elongate, we can't shorten if certain things are a certain way, because you actually change the meaning. So the rules are there to keep everything intact. And I will be going over some basic rules, inshallah. So hopefully you got something to write, notebook to write these things down. So the first thing is, what is the Qalqalah? The Qalqalah is going to be 5 letters. For me, to memorize them, I just named one of my fingers each letter. So it's going to be the letter Qaf, the letter Ta, the letter Ba, the letter Jim, and the letter Dal. So you guys write Qalqalah and write these 5 letters, and then as you move throughout your day, just make sure you memorize these letters. Qalqalah is a sound that resonates. It is a technique of producing particular letters that have a sukoon, or when it stops on these letters. So whenever you stop on one of these letters with sukoon, they need the tone to be loud and create an echo, like a sound. It's going to be like a reverberance, something that echoes. The meaning of Qalqalah in Arabic is vibration, while the meaning of Qalqalah in Tajweed is to disturb the letter that has sukoon. So at different times in the previous program, I told you guys that when you finish, or when you see this letter with sukoon, that it'll bounce. And let me go ahead and back up. I'm going to go to Surah Reglas. Put it in Arabic. Yeah, guys can still see my screen, right? ¿Todo bien?
Yes, sir.
Órale. So right here, por ejemplo, in Surah Al-Ikhlas, we finish with a dal. If you have a Tajweed Quran, they'll have a color coding system to help you with the rules. That way, it's a little bit easier to apply the rule when you get to it. Here, they put the Qalqalah letters in this dark red, or maybe even brown. So when we stop on the ayah, we're going to put a sukoon on it. Right here, we ignore the dammatain. So now we read it. Qul huwallahu ahad. There's a bit of a d at the end. If I were to remove the Qalqalah, the sound of the bouncing sound, it'll be Qul huwallahu ahad. I have to really hold back so the D can not bounce. So what we're trying to do is Qul huwallahu ahad. A lot of reciters will have this, they'll be very proficient at it and they'll barely make it bounce. Others will make it bounce a lot, but the whole point is you have to make that little bouncing sound. So we have it here as well in the next ayah, here in the middle of the ayah, and then al último, at the end of this ayah and the end of this ayah, because we have to put sukoon on all the letters when we stop. So for me it'll be Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Let me try to do it without the Qalqalah so y'all can hear the difference. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. I really had to hold back. So it wouldn't bounce, but it feels more natural to bounce, and it feels good to do it in the recitation. It also flows better. So far, is that example good for you guys? ¿Sí me entendieron? Alright, I'm going to continue. Right here we have Surat al-Masad. We find the ba, which is one of the Qalqalah letters here, and it's at the end of the ayah. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. This B really bounces. Part of the reason is because there's a shadda at the end of the ayah, and we want to indicate, again, the recitation of the Quran is oral, we hear it. So we want to indicate that there's a double B. How do we do it? Make a double qalqalah, make a double B sound. تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. So it's a very heavy bounce of the B here. The next ayah, we also find the letter ba is going to take a sukoon because we stop on it. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. So you have that B jumping. سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها هبل من مسد. So we have the jumping of the D, the jumping of the B, the jumping of the B as well. I hope everybody heard it. If I try to do it without it, تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب. Barely. It's hard for me to hold it back. ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد. So yeah, it's very difficult for me to do it the other way around, but there's a space that's omitted. Even right here when I said hablun, hab, since the B closes, you have to close your lips to do it. There's a space that's not supposed to be there. So this, it's almost like a mini fatha, a little A that you can do habalum, habalum, hab, b is that jumping of the qalqalah. Lahab, watab, kasab, hatab. Y al último, masad. So we need that bouncing in there. Let's try Surah Al-Quraysh. If anybody has any questions, please stop me, or any clarification that y'all guys need, so I can explain maybe a little differently. Here in Surah Al-Quraysh, we have the letter Ta. Right here, they put it in red in the Tajwid Quran, so you can see the letter or see the rule of Qalqalah. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم عطا. It almost sounds like you're saying ta, but you're not committing to 100% fatha. أطعمهم, that's giving it 100% fatha. عطا, it's just a little bit of a bounce. أطعمهم عطا. If I were to try to remove the qalqalah, it will sound like this. Out. Amahum. Out. Because the ta is a T sound. So out. Amahum. There's a weird space in between. So we want to give it a little bit of a ta sound. Out. Amahum. Let's see if this leaves me alone. Okay. And let's see. I think we have the letter Jim, which should be in Surah Tariq. There's a Jim that bounces. Oh, actually we have a Qaf right here. We have a Dal. We have a Qaf. We have a Jim. We have a Ba. Surah Tariq has a lot of qalqalas, mashallah. So el primero, the letter Qaf, we're going to give it similar to the Ta, a little bit of a Qa sound. You don't want to commit to 100% Qa, like if you're given a fatha. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقُ. طارق. If I were to remove the qalqalah, وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ, طارق, like you need a little bit of a vowel sound to be included. We have a dal right here in the middle. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقُ. وَمَا the D bounces. أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقُ. De nuevo, a little bit of a bouncing at the end. النجم الثاقب. النج. The jim is like a j, a little bounce with the j sound. النجم الثاقب. And then the B bounces at the end. Is everybody hearing the bouncing? ¿Está claro con todos? Are we good? Somebody tell me.
Yes, sir. I don't know for everybody else, but
Okay, in that case, I'll give one more example with Surat al-Falaq that is a little bit more familiar. Qaf, ba. Qaf, dal. All these dark browns are indicating the bouncing. قل أعوذ برب الفلق. فلق. من شر ما خلق. ومن شر غاسق إذا وكب. ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. So all these letters, I included the bouncing. I'll try to do it without the bouncing. Hopefully you guys hear it. قل أعوذ برب الفلق. من شر ما خلق. ومن شر غاسق إذا وكب. ومن شر النفاثات في العقد. ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Yeah, I really have to stop the sound with my tongue in order not to do the bouncing. So inshallah, whenever you guys get a little bit more used to it, I advise también listen to your favorite reciters so you kind of hear how they're producing the sound, and then that trying to make that bouncing sound at the end and in between the words as well if you find them while you're reading the Quran. Does anybody have any questions about the Qalqalah? If not, I'm gonna continue.
Yes, I do actually.
Mande.
So is it just whenever we see these specific letters, or is it when we see them with a certain symbol?
So it's gonna be the Qaf, Jim, Dal, Ta, and Ba whenever you find them with a sukoon on top.
Sukoon. So that's that. Is that the line?
Sukoon is gonna be nothing at all. For example, right here on top of the wow, there's nothing on top of it. And then the Qul has this little backward C. That's also sukoon.
Okay, so when we don't see that, is when it's supposed to be like a little bit like elongated.
It's a bit of a bounce,
with a little bounce.
Sound. Yeah.
Okay, so when it's plain.
So what?
When it's plain, when it has nothing accompanied.
Yes, and then whenever you finish on an ayah, you have you put a sukoon and you ignore the harakat. That's why I'm not saying falaqi, and I'm not saying waqaba ba. I'm putting a sukoon at the end because when you stop, you put sukoons on the ayah.
Okay, just because it's at the very end.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Alhamdulillah. Muy bien. Oh, it's gonna make me start over. Okay. So yeah, guys, just write this down on your notes, and then as you read the Quran, listen to your reciters, the people who you like listening to. Just pay attention to these letters and how they're bouncing, and then as well in the Quran, try to apply this rule. And especially if it's in the middle, it doesn't allow the word to sound empty. You know, it doesn't make it sound like a complete stop. That bouncing kind of fits in that space, and then it keeps going. Was that a question?
Nelson asked a question.
Yeah. So when you said we ignore the harakat whenever we end the ayah. Do you know why there's a harakat to begin with though?
Yes, of course. So the Quran, as you're reading it, there's rules on how to start, how to stop, and in this case, there's advanced forms of recitation that if one wants to combine the first ayah with the second ayah, you can use that harakat to combine it.
Oh yeah, I think you mentioned that. Yeah. Okay.
Nah. So when you finish, for example, right here, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ lo estoy diciendo mal. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. And you make a full stop. I put sukun on the last letter. I ignored the harakat. If I don't want to stop and I want to continue reciting, it'll be قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ. I include those harakat to continue reading.
So are both like forms like technically okay? Is it just like a preference, whether you stop or continue?
Yeah. It's sunnah by the Prophet to stop on each ayah, but también the Prophet, peace be upon him, showed us different ways to recite, and this is one of them. I would just advise if you're going to try these more advanced ones, you maybe pick from a reciter that kind of knows what he's doing. Because one, it costs, nos cuesta mucho aire, like we have to kind of keep going with a lot of breath. Y también we don't want to say something incorrect, because sometimes the rule, let's say there's an extension at the end and stuff like that, you have to apply it as well.
Show them Surah An-Nas.
Surah An-Nas. I think Surah An-Nas is pretty easy, actually.
Yeah, I think it's the easiest one to do, but...
So brother,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. So could we say that a haraka at the end of an ayah is kind of like a bridge to the next ayah if you were to combine them?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Okay.
So Surah An-Nas, we're used to hearing it like قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. And I put a sukun on the scene, and we stop right here. If you want to keep reading, notice that all the endings, there's kasras. So it's possible to do قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَرِّ الْوَسْوَاسِ الْخَنَّاسِ الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ مِنَ الْجِنَّةِ وَالنَّاسِ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ. And you literally restart the Quran all over again. When I went over this with my teacher, I thought I was gonna stop at Nas, and he said, no, you keep reading the Quran. You start over because you never stop learning. I was like, whoa, I was mind blown. So we never stop gaining knowledge. We just keep going. The end of Nas literally starts over with Surah Al-Fatiha. Subhanallah. Y uno más.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. Uno más que le enseñé a los que terminaron el curso de árabe was, again, coming back to Nelson's question. There's certain rules that sometimes one has to apply. Y si no saben esas rules, one can get confused or maybe even recite it wrong. Right here between ahed and Allah, there's a special rule where you add a nun to it. So aquí es Qul huwallahu ahed. You put that sukun in place. Allahu samad, sukun. لم يلد, bouncing sukun. ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد, bouncing at the end, you put a sukun. In order to combine todo, قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله, and you continue to the next surah if you decide not to stop. Everyone good? Brain didn't short circuit? Okay, alhamdulillah. So yeah, again, I recommend to write this down. Look for it when you're reading the Quran. Maybe look for that color if you have a Tajwid Quran. It's like a dark brown. And then listen to your reciters to see how they do the bouncing. Try to imitate. For me, the hardest ones is the letter Ta and the letter Qaf, to try to mimic. Ba, Dal, and Jim, pretty easy. Okay, vamos a continuar. What is Nun Saakin? Nun Saakin va a ser the Nun with sukun. Nun Saakin means the letter Nun with the sukun. The Nun Saakin can take place in the middle or at the end of any word. Donde encuentran, por ejemplo, if you see right here, this is a Nun with a sukun. There's nothing on top or under it. Nun with a sukun, Nun with a sukun, that little symbol that comes out on the Quran. And this is Nun with a sukun as well. And I'll explain why there's a little meme on top of it once we get to that rule. So we have the rules of Nun Saakin and Tanween. So whenever you find a Nun that has a sukun, and whenever you find the Tanween, then you have to think about, do I have to apply this rule? ¿Qué es el Tanween? Tanween are signs that you add an N sound or a Nun Saakin at the end of the word. So when we have double fatha, it's called fathatain. Double kasra, kasratain. Double dhamma, dhammatain. So right here we have fathatain because we have the two fathas, and they add a little substitute alif. You're going to find it in all of them with fathatain. They just put an alif. You don't elongate in this case. You're just going to read kitaban. Kitaban. You put an N after the ba. Kitaba. Tanween, add an N. Kitaban. Kasratain. Kitabin. You see the two kasras. After the B, you add the N. Kitabin. And dhammatain. This symbol right here, and there's other symbols I'm going to show you as well for the dhammatain. But basically, when you see two dhammas, you add an N at the end. Kitabun. You just put an N after the bu. Kitabun. This has to do with grammar, the changing of the harakat, fatha, kasra, dhamma, that inshallah when you guys do more advanced studies, you're going to get into it. It's really fun. It's grammar. It's a lot of different things to learn. But basically it gives the purpose or the role of the letter within the sentence. That's why sometimes, por ejemplo, you see Allahi, Allahu, or Allah, the name of Allah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Rasulullah. Ahí pare con sukun, pero I'll pull it up later so you can see which harakat it has. Y también, again, it gives you the function of the letter. Pero por mientras, I won't get too ahead of myself. It's just recognizing that you put a nun at the end, and that's the tanween. So we're going to apply the same rules when we find the nun sakin or the tanween. Que they're coming up. So I advise on your notebook to write maybe a line, and then you write إظهار. Under إظهار, write these letters. Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. Who can tell me what these letters have in common? ¿Quién sabe? What these letters have in common is that they all come from the throat. They literally are the throat letters. This is called huruf halaqiyya. So if it's hard for you to memorize, maybe it's easy to memorize that. These letters come from the throat. That's how I memorize them. So the word idhar is in dictionary, means to explain something or to make something clear. If one of the throat letters, which these are them, that we call huruf al-halaqiyya, comes the nun sakin or a tanween, then here is where you apply idhar, and this is when we clearly pronounce the letter nun. Es todo. We just have to clearly pronounce the letter nun. So there's no real rule being applied other than you read the nun 100%. If you guys know, the ghain and the kha come from the top of the throat. You can feel it if you put your fingers and you do ghain, kha. You can feel the vibration. In the middle of the throat, there's ain and there's ha. You can feel it if you put your fingers there. And at the bottom of the throat, we have the letter hamza, a, and the letter ha, which is all the way down there. So let's look for some idhar. I'm going to go to Surat al-Ghashiyah, that it has a lot of different rules going on. Aquí tenemos Surat al-Ghashiyah. And we're going to look for a noon right here. Tasla naran hamiyah. So what's going on? We see naran with a fathatain. That means it has tanween. So we're putting an N sound after the Ra. Naron. Why am I pronouncing the Nun 100%? It's because there's a letter Ha after it. So if we look at the letters of Idhar, we find the letter Ha. So after the Tanween, we look for the letter. If the letter is a letter, whatever letter it is, in this case it's a Ha, then you apply that rule. So right here we're going to pronounce the N clean, no problem. Tausla narun. Ahí lo estoy diciendo mal, disculpa. Tausla narun hamiyah. Ha narun. N, nice and crisp. Let's look at the next ayah. Tusqa min aynin aniyah. Is there a question?
Yeah, so the first one you went over, you said narun, like, can you repeat the specific part?
Repeat the rule?
No, like, can you just pronounce it again?
Okay. Tasla naran hamiyah. Naran. So the ra, you add an N sound afterwards. It's like saying R-A-N, run. And we pronounce the N 100% clear, naran, because we're applying the rule of Idhar. And right now when I show you guys the other rules, we're going to see how it changes. So right here it's just R-A-N. Does that make sense?
Yes, I don't know why I thought you were like pronouncing it like run, like with the U instead of the. So I just like misheard.
No problem. Naran, run. This next ayah, Tusqa min. Isa, what's happening with the min right here? What symbol does it have on top?
Sukun.
Sukun. So we find a nun with a sukun. Now we have to look at the letter afterwards. What letter is it?
That's a ayn.
Ayn. We look at the letters that we're writing down. The ayn is under this rule. So that means that we're going to pronounce the nun 100%. Tusqa min. Nothing changes. We're reading regularly right now. Min. Aynin. What harakat has the nun at the end right here?
Nin. That's
Nin.
kasratain.
Good. So we're applying a kasratain at the end because we see two kasras. So after we see a tanween, we're like, oh, we have to look at the letter afterwards. What is the letter afterwards?
Taha.
This
Hamza.
is a hamza. So hamza is one of the letters of Idhar. So we have to pronounce it aynin, como si nada. You read it regularly. Aynin. The N clear y todo bien. Tusqa min aynin aniyah. So this should be easy because we're just reading regularly. Right now I'm going to jump into the ones that combine and do different rules. And that's when you're like, okay, this is why these are pronounced clearly. So I'm going to keep going, inshallah, and then we'll find some more examples. Por mientras, if you guys have written this down, Ithhar, these letters, the N is pronounced clearly. Es todo lo que quiero de ustedes, inshallah, en sus notes. Okay, let's look at Idghaam. So in Idghaam, I want you guys to write Ya, Ra, Mim, Lam, Waw, Nun. Uno puede decir también Yarmalun, Yarmalun, if you want to memorize that saying, so you can kind of memorize these letters. Inside, I want you to split this section in half as well. And in the first section, it's going to take the Ya, the Ra, the Waw, the Nun. Ay, disculpa. No. Sorry. So we're going to take the Ya, Mim, Waw, and Nun. Everything but the Lam and the Ra. So the Lam and the Ra in one section. No. How do you go back? Sorry, guys. I haven't used slideshow in a long time. So first section, Nun, Mim, Waw, Ya. Second section, Lam, Ra. So the ruling of Idghaam is that whenever you get to a Nun Saakin or you get to a Tanween and you see these letters, we're actually going to combine. We're going to not pronounce the Nun and we're going to combine the letter that comes afterwards. It's going to be any of these. Y lo que hace la diferencia between the Nun, Mim, Waw, Ya and the Lam, Ra is that whenever we get to the Nun, Mim, Waw, Ya, there's actually going to be a nasal sound that we're going to produce from our nose. There's a type of vibration. It's called Ghunna. And then whenever we get to the Lam, Ra, you're going to pronounce it without Ghunna. There's going to be no vibration from the nose. Y ahorita llegamos a esos examples. Also, there's a 2 count that you do when you reach these letters. And we'll get to those in practice right now when I show you. So Idghaam is called adding a letter to another letter. We're combining. Y one more time. Nun, Mim, Waw, Ya comes after Tanween and Nun. Then you apply Idghaam and you do the nasal sound 2 counts. When you get to a Lam, Ra after a Tanween or a Nun Saakin, then you apply Idghaam without Ghunna, without the vibration. And it's a little bit faster than the one on top. The one on top you hold a little bit longer. So if you guys wrote this down, Idghaam and these letters, let's find some examples in the Quran. Isa was asking me about Surah Masad in the morning, and that's why I was like, okay.
Oh my God, brother.
Aquí está. So in the Tajwid Quran, they'll actually put it in blue. So let's check out this first ayah. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. So this word right here, lahabin, it has a kasratain, so it should read lahabin, B-I-N. Pero we look at the letter afterwards. What is the letter? It's a letter waw. So the letter waw after a tanween, we have the waw right here. That means we have to apply idgham. So in blue, they're showing you the rule right here. So instead of lahabin, where you pronounce the N 100%, like as I was trying to tell you with the Idghar, you pronounce it clearly. Now it's gonna sound like this: lahabiyun, biyun, biyu, because the waw, it's eating the nun basically. And if you hear my nose, there's a ghunna sound. There's a nasalization. Lahabiyun. All that is vibration from the nose. It's as if you see a waw with a shadda, and the same way I try to explain to you guys the shadda, that it eats the letter before it and you hold on to it, that's similarly what you're doing here. So without applying idgham, it'll be Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. That's how somebody would read it without tajweed. Lahabin wa tab. Pero with tajweed, we apply idgham. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Biyun wa tab. Did that make sense to you guys? Going good? Okay, because I'm going to go into 2 more examples right here at the end of the surah. Aquí tenemos Fi jidiha habalun. The lam has a double dhamma. The double dhamma right here, habalun. Lam, dhamma, nun. Habalun. What's after the tanween, Isa? What letter is this?
That's oh my God, meme.
It's a meme. Es todo. Alhamdulillah. So we go back to our notes. We see that the letter meme is an idgham letter. So now we have to apply idgham. So we're not going to say habalun and pronounce that N clearly. We're actually going to, the meme is going to eat the nun. And now you're going to say habalum. You have to hold on to that M sound. Why? Because there's a shadda as well. So we're going to pronounce this M twice. And don't forget the nasalization, the vibration from the nose. Habalum. Habalum. the N isn't pronounced. And we also see right here that there's a Nun with sukun afterwards. So how we should read it is min. But we see another meme right after, we have to apply the exact same rule. So what's going to happen here is that there is no tanween. The meme is going to eat the Nun. And then this meme is also going to eat this Nun. So now we have a double M sound. في جيدها حبل من مسد. Habalum with an M. Meme. M-I-M. Meme masad. Did you guys hear the how the memes were pronounced and the nuns weren't pronounced? Quiero saber si me están entendiendo. Okay, I'm going to take it as a yes. Alhamdulillah. So now I'm going to try to say it without the tajwid, without the rule of idgham. في جيدها حبل and حبل من مسد. Right there I did include the N sound. But the meme has to eat the tanween, the meme has to eat the nun. في جيدها حبل من مسد. And that's how you would apply the idgham in this instance. So in this Tajwid Quran, they put it in blue. Also, something to give you a hint that it's the letter, is the rule of idgham, is that you notice the kasratain right here, it's actually side to side. They're not on top of each other. There's one on the right and one on the left. This is giving you the example or the hint that idgham is being applied here. Y ahorita les enseño how in some of them they're on top of each other. Right here as well. Where is it? I saw you. Right here. They're side to side. So the reason they don't show you the blue is because we're stopping here. So in this case, سَيَصْلَى نَارًا ذَاتَ لَهَبٍ. If you were to continue reading, applying the advanced recitation, لَهَبٍ لَهَبٍ, it goes into a BU, لَهَبٍ, and then you can keep reading. You would apply the idgham rule here as well. I think in Surah Al-Balad we have other rules of idgham right here. Risa, try to read this ayah.
Wow.
You start with a wow, yes.
Okay.
Do you know it or no?
What? No. We'll see. We'll find out.
This is Surah Al-Balad.
وَوَالِرٍ وَمَا Wait. Yeah. وَوَالِرٍ. Oh my God.
Let's do the first word. Just the first word.
Wawa.
Wawa. Because we extend the a. Wawalidin.
Oh, it's a D. Oh my God.
Wawalidin. How come I finished with the nun?
Because you're stopping.
Right here we're reading the word 100% and D-I-N because we have a tanween at the end. Kasratain. Wawalidin.
Oh, I gotta look at my notes. You gotta pronounce the nun.
Yeah, that's if you read this letter by itself or this word 100%. We look at the word after it. It has a wow. So the wow, it's gonna eat the nun, and you're gonna apply idgham. So instead of saying wawalidin wama, you're gonna say wawalidin wama walad.
Wawalidin wama walad.
Alhamdulillah. So if you guys are used to listening to Surah Al-Balad, لا أقسم بهذا البلد قلقلة وأنت حيل بهذا البلد قلقلة ووالد وما ولد ووالد We don't say وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا. We apply idgham right here. And then it's going to get kind of fun because we have some different letters of idgham right here. أَيَحْسَبُ. We have an. An. What's after the an, Isa?
Lam shadda.
Lam shadda. So the lam right here, we're going to look at our notes. The lam is one of the letters of idgham. So the lam is going to eat the noon. So you're not going to say an, you're going to say al. A, L, and then you continue. You skip over the noon. أَيَحْسَبُ أَلَّا. أَلَّا. Look at this noon. It also is sakin. What's the letter afterwards? It is a ya.
Yeah.
We look at the letters of idgham. We have a ya right here. So now we're going to read it as the noon, the ya is going to eat it. So right here is going to be lay. Lay. El, fata, lam, fata, ya. We're going to skip over the noon. So in order to read this ayah, it's going to be أَيَحْسَبُ أَلَّيْ يَقْدِرَ أَيَحْسَبُ أَلَّيْ يَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ أَحَدٌ أَيَحْسَبُ أَلَّيْ لَيْ lam, fata, ya. So we're not pronouncing the noons here because you have double idgham happening. One when the lam eats it and one the ya eats it. Was that a question?
So essentially, like you apply idgham, the idgham rule whenever like it's being like whenever that specific word's being sandwiched between like a lamb or a ya or like a noon or a meme. Is that kind of how it is?
Can you repeat your question one more time?
Yeah. So like you apply that rule whenever that specific letter is sandwiched in between those other letters, right? Like between
Yes.
like the lamb, the ya, the noon.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the all these rules that we're learning is when we see a noon with a sukoon or a tanween. When you see a noon with a sukoon or tanween, you're going to look at the letter afterwards, and if the letter is one of these letters, you pronounce the noon 100% in the rule of إظهار. That's easy because we'll be reading regularly. There's nothing really that has to be applied. Pero in the case of idgham, the letter's going to eat the noon.
Okay. Yeah. So it pretty much gets sandwiched, so it eats it, so you don't say it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
There's another question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you could go to the PowerPoint real quick so I didn't get
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to put you guys to the test now. Let's read right here. Who feels comfortable actually reading this one right here? Who's comfortable?
I can try, man.
Okay. I hear laughing. What's this word right here?
I'm trying to see what letter is first, the ya or the ha.
In this case, the ya is first, and they put a little like arm or something on top of the ha. So it's a ya with a fatha, ha with a sukun.
Ayyah.
Ayyah.
Ayyahsab. Ayyahsabu.
Correct.
Ayyahsabu.
Okay.
Ayyahsabu. Allah.
Lam.
Lam.
Correct. So all you're doing is that the lam is eating the noon. You don't pronounce the noon. Ayahsabu al-lam. Al-lam. You just hold the L 2 counts, as in one L for that ate the noon and the other L with the fatha. Ayahsabu al-lam. It's fácil, right?
Allah. Oh my. Allam yarahu ahad.
أيحسب أن لم يره أحد. There's a little med right here. So en este caso, the lam, you don't do the idgham. Disculpa, you don't do the ghunna, the vibration, because the L doesn't really require a vibration. So it's just a regular L sound. Ayahsabu al-lam, just a double L.
What's the symbol on top of the dhamma? Like at the dal, right there. Like it looks like a little C, kind of upside down.
Okay, so let's see. Let me find. Okay, I'll go ahead and answer that. So this is dhammatain as well. Dhammatain has different ways that you can see it, and it's also an indication for which rule is coming afterwards. This one is indicating that if you were to continue reading, it'll be Idhhar. So they put like a line over the dhamma, dhammatain, and then you look at the letter afterwards. In this case, it's a hamza. That means if you were to keep reading, you're going to pronounce the N 100%. أَيَحْسَبُ أَلَّمْ يَرَهُ أَحَدٌ أَلَمْ أَحَدٌ. You pronounce it no problem. أَلَمْ, and you continue reading. Let's see if I see another dhammatain that looks different. I always go to Suratul Ghashiyah because it has a lot of them. Mira, esta también es dhammatain. It's literally two vowels. So instead of having that line on top of it, there's two vowels next to each other. What happens right here is that it's indicating that there is an idgham being applied. So we look at we read this rule, this word 100%. Wujuhun, wujuhun. We look at the letter afterwards, it's a letter ya. So the ya is going to eat the N, and now you're going to say wujuhui. You can hear the gunna. Wujuhui. The gunna is indicating that there's a nun present without it being pronounced. So now you're saying hu e to combine. Wujuhui yawma'idhin khashiyah. Risa.
Oh my God, bro. I was just practicing muted and it does not sound good.
How come I combine here and how come I didn't combine here? If there's a Tanween as well.
Well, let me tell you, brother.
Tell me. That didn't make sense.
So that letter right there, after the ha, right? That's a ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is idgham. Idgham. What? Let me not say that. Idgham.
Idgham.
Idgham. Idgham.
Mm-hmm. So what do we do with idgham?
That's why we we do that.
We don't pronounce the N. We add ghunna and we extend in this case the E sound.
Yes, the ya sound.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't do it for the other one because it's how you do it.
¿Por qué?
Because it's a Ith'har.
Yeah, good. So we have the letter kha, and if we look at our notes, the letter kha is one of the throat letters. So we pronounce the N como si nada. We don't apply any rule. So right here I said yawma'idhin. The N is pronounced 100%, and we continue with khashiyah. So in order to read this all the way, وجوه يومئذ خاشعة. If I were to continue going towards Nelson's question, we have a dhammatain. This dhamma, you have that line going over. It's kind of indicating that there's a rule of idhhar here. So if you were to continue reading this word into this ayah, it'll be khashiyatun. And you read the tanween 100%. So now you're saying وجوه يومئذ خاشية عاملة ناصبة. I have to go slow because I'm not used to combining en este ejemplo. Pero the letter Ain is idhhar, so the tune gets pronounced 100%. So if you guys want in your notes as well, you can write these symbols. Por ejemplo, this dhammatain with the line on top of it, you can write it next to the idhhar, so in this section. And you can write this dhammatain next to the section of idgham. to kind of give yourself a hint that whenever you see those combinations, you kind of get used to getting ready for that rule. Aquí tenemos Idghaam de nuevo. Isa, why is Idghaam being applied here?
Hold on now. Because there's a Nun, the Nun after.
Good. So the Nun, look at our notes. Nun is the letter of Idghaam. So all you're doing is pronouncing double Nun. Amilatun nasiba tunna. The Nun eats the Nun, and you stay with the Nun. And then the N already has that nasal sound, so Amilatun nasiba. Let me look for a Ra. I think we have it in Suratul. ¿Dónde estás? Alaq. Yeah. Look at all these rules. MashaAllah. We're going to learn all these rules. Aquí. ¿Quién me puede leer esta aya aquí? I'll go ahead.
Y'all, don't make me do it. Someone else.
All right. We see that there's a Nun Saakin. What's the letter afterwards? It's the letter Ra. We go to our notes. The letter Ra is part of the Idghaam. That means we're not going to say an. We're going to say aur. Because similar to, we have the word ar-Rahman, the Ra eats the letter before it. So aquí es ar-ra'ahu istaghna. Ar-ra'a. The alif extends after this a. Hus. Alif wasla. You go straight into the scene. Ar-ra'ahu istaghna. Double R. So the R eats the Nun. You apply the rule of Idghaam. So inshallah, the same thing. As you listen to your the reciters you like to listen to, when you're reading the Quran, look for after the Nun Saakin or the Tanween. If you see these letters, for sure it's gonna combine. For sure. Maybe Surah Zalzala, you guys will be a little bit more knowledgeable of. Va a ser. I'm just gonna read it all the way. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ. Up. What's happening? We're going to combine into the ya. يومئذ يصدر دي. You just extend the E. يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا. I'm stopping so I can get to the rule. Aquí, tata, the lam is going to eat the tanween. يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم. So right here, tatal, the lam eats the tanween. You don't pronounce the tanween here. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مَي M-A, yeah. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ. Why do I pronounce tin 100%? Because there's a ha. So this is إظهار. فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. The ya eats the tanween. We don't say خيرًا, but خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. وَمَن يَعْمَلْ مَي M-A-Y. مَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Right here, Uray. Why are we saying sharan? Because the ya eats the nun. Question, mande.
Hold on. It's Surah Furqan. Oh man, I think it's like ayah 68 or 69 that it has that like It's like and like I think it has that same rule that you're saying. I think
Let's see what's up.
it's like 68 or 69 or something like that.
68. Let's go to 68.
I think, or 69 maybe. Yeah, right there.
This one?
Yeah.
Nice. So why aren't you pronouncing the nun?
Is it?
Yeah, bro. You're right.
Yeah.
So if you were to read it like without the rule, waman, am fatha nun, man. But we see the ya coming after the nun. The ya is gonna eat the nun. You're gonna do the nasal sound. وَمَن يَفْعَلْ وَمَن يَعْفَلْ. So you hold the ya 2 counts and you don't pronounce the nun. Good job, Risa. You knew it, pero you didn't.
I knew it, yeah, but I didn't know it, yeah, until now.
MashaAllah. So I think we covered a lot of the rules. Let me try to find. Oh, well, actually, I did explain Amim and Surat al-Masad. I think I went over all the letters. I'm going to repeat it one more time. Listening to the reciters as you're reading the Quran. Look for these letters so you can apply those rulings. And it's really easy with the Tajwid Quran because you get colors to tell you, to indicate that the rule is being applied. Okay, no les falta mucho. Iqlaab is literally one letter, so alhamdulillah. Slideshow. The third rule, Iqlaab. So under Iqlaab, all you have to do is write a ba. Whenever you find the letter ba after a Nun Saakin or Tanween, it's actually going to change the Nun into a meme. All you have to do is stretch the sound and add gunna. So let's go find for examples of how we're going to switch it over to a meme. Oh, let me go back actually. So some of you may have noticed that when you're reading the Quran, you find a little meme on top of the nun. A little meme on top of the nun. That's indicating that the nun turns into a meme. Why? Because there's a letter ba afterwards. So in the example right here, if you were to read without tajweed, min ba'adi. Min ba'adi. What are we going to do? The nun is going to turn into a meme, and you're going to say min ba'adi. One of the examples my teacher gave me is that the lips aren't going to close 100%, and they're not going to open 100%. So it's almost as if you put a piece of paper in between your lips. So leave your lips slightly open, and then you do the vibration. Mim, mim, ba'adi. This one right here. Fa'a. If you were to read without tanween, fa'anbatna. Fa'anbatna. If we read the nun 100%, that means we're applying إظهار. We're not doing that. We're applying, in this case, إقلاب. فَأَنْبَعْنَا. You leave that space in between the lips, you hold it 2 counts, and you pronounce the meme. The reason this is done is because the Arab decided that it was too much work to go from the nun to the ba. So they found a space in between, which is literally the letter meme, because the meme is also a letter that comes out from the lips. So in order to facilitate jumping from nun to ba, they substituted a meme. It doesn't change the meaning at all. It's just about the recital y que se oiga bonito. So I believe in Surah Al-Layl we have Iqlaab. Surah Al-Layl. Right here. They put the Iqlaab in like a highlighter green. So if you were to read it without tajweed, وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِي. Disculpame. It throws me off to do it without the tajweed. وأما من بخل واستغنى. I'm gonna start over from a little bit before. Let me read it all the way through. والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى. That sounded better. So right here, وأما من, you're gonna hold on to the meme sound. You're not gonna pronounce the noon. You're gonna leave that little space between your lips. You're getting ready to pronounce the letter ba. وأما من بخل واستغنى. So the noon turns into a meme, and that's why there's a little meme indication right there. ¿Todo vamos bien? Isa, how come we how come we read the noon right here 100%?
Let me check my handy dandy notebook real quick.
Yeah.
Because the Iظhar, because
Exactly.
right. I don't know why though. Is it because there the alif hamza?
What's the letter afterwards?
Oh, the ayn. Okay.
Before the ayn, what letter is this?
Hamza.
It's a hamza. So the notes say that if there's a hamza, you read the end clearly. So in this case, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. Man, no hay problema. Muy similar a este versículo, very similar to this, but since there's a ba after the noon, what do we do?
Meme.
So it turns into a meme. We extended 2 counts. You leave your lips a little bit open as if there's a paper in between your lips. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى. Let's see. I'll see if I find another example. Let me jump into the next one, which is the last one, mashallah. Ikhfaa is the last rule that we're going to learn today, alhamdulillah. Mashallah. Okay, so Ikhfaa is actually 15 letters, and you guys don't have to freak out. My advice is that if you learn Idhhar, which is the throat letters, should be 6 letters. If you learn Idghaam, which is yarmaluna, if you want to use that phrase to remember it, and if you learn Iqlaab, which is literally 1 letter, if you learn those, then all the ones afterwards is Ikhfaa. So you don't have to memorize ta, tha, jim, dal, dal, zain, sin, shin. You don't have to know them by memory like that. As long as you know the first 3 letters of the rules, or letters from those rules, then these come easy. So if you find these 15 letters, you apply Ikhfaa. This is after the Nun Saakin or the Tanween. And the way you read this, it's considered between Idghar and Idghaam. My advice is that whenever you get to the letter, instead of pronouncing the noon 100%, what you're going to do is, when you pronounce the noon, the tongue touches the top of the palate, arriba del paladar. And now what you have to do is bring the tongue down and let it float. And so instead of an, you're going to do an. It's literally your tongue just floating there. So you don't pronounce the noon 100%. And this in the Tajwid Quran, it's like a, what is that, light red maybe? Let's go to Masad. So this ayah right here, Sayasla نار ذات لهب. I didn't say naran and pronounce the N 100%. My tongue was floating. Naran. If my tongue is touching, naran. If my tongue is not touching, naran. Why? Because we have a dhal. And the dhal is going to be a letter of ikhfa. You hold it 2 counts and then you don't pronounce it. The reason why this is done is because it's too hard to say naran and go from the nun to the next letter. So what we're doing is we're preparing our mouth to go into the dhal in this case. So sayasla naran dhata lahab. Let's find some more examples of ikhfa.
I think falako. Oh my, you're on it. Wow.
Bro, subhanallah. Now you get to read it.
Oh. Which one?
I was gonna say Isa. Anyways.
I mean, there's a bunch in here.
Read the whole thing.
Oh.
Let's go ayah by ayah. I want to hear the Qalqalah, and then I want to hear the N not being pronounced 100% right here.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قل أعوذ برب الفلق.
Good.
من شر ما خلق.
Good. Let's stop right here.
Whoa, I was in mode.
MashaAllah. I want you to pronounce the N 100% right here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Min.
Yeah, it's hard.
Min shari.
Amazing. I can hear it. MashaAllah. But you're doing it. If you were to not apply the rule, non-tajweed, you go min sharri. I heard it. N 100%. But since we're applying the rule, it's how you were trying to read it, which is min. The N is muted, your tongue is floating, and you're preparing your mouth to say the sheen. So go for it. Y si quieres empieza the other ayah.
Let me see. I'll just do it. Min sharri ma khalaq.
Good. Keep going.
ومن شر ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Perfect. Yeah, all of them I heard the extension, and all of them I heard that you muted the N slightly. Muy bien. How come right here you pronounce غاسقين 100%?
Let me back out my handy dandy notebook.
Yep.
It's the Hamza this way. Actually, I didn't even need to back it out. I seen it.
So there's a Hamza after the Tanween, and that's why we say غاسقين, and you pronounce that 100%. So what rule is this?
Dang, it's the that's the first one. Oh man, something.
إظهار.
إظهار.
Alhamdulillah. Muy bien. What rule is being applied right here? Anybody? Or Isa?
No, not me. Somebody else. Go, please.
I don't know. Están calladitos, you know.
The shy Muslims, nah, man.
Right here, the Qalqalah is being applied. Inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. Abba. There's a little
let's have Haiti do that one.
Stop it.
Yes,
No,
Haiti.
stop.
Yes. Good.
Raúl.
Si no quieres, nobody's forcing you. I'm just saying.
What do you want me to do?
Recite the surah.
What? I'm gonna say from the beginning is crazy. Which one?
Sometimes it's hard to start from the middle. Even I had to do it earlier. I had to start from the beginning. This is Surah Al-Kawthar.
Is this Galford?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. You know this one. Come on.
إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر.
إن شانيك هو الأبتر.
Good. We don't say abtar, ab, and we leave a space in between. We say abatar. That little b is going to be bouncing. Abatar, which is the qalqalah.
Wow.
Let's do this one right here.
Ooh, I know this one.
Go for it, bro.
Wait.
You know it.
All right. Oh, the whole thing?
Si quieres, I'm trying to get to this one right here, pero sometimes we have to start from the beginning to get that flow going.
Let me see. I'm trying to read it from right to left. It's throwing me off. All right, I'll just do it from the beginning. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يهد على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. I'll keep going, but I passed the rule.
Good. Let's read this one right here. Read this word by itself.
فويل.
Fawailun. Yeah, because we have a tanween, so we finish with an N sound. Pero, what's the letter afterwards?
The lamb.
Lam. The lam is going to eat the noon, and now we say fawailul lil. We don't pronounce the noon, it goes into the lam, and there's a bunch of lams happening here. Fawailul lil musallin. Pero por eso no se pronuncia. What row is it?
That's Idghaam.
Idghaam. Good. Next rule right here. الذين هم عن صلاتهم عن. How come I'm not saying عن?
That's gonna be also Idghaam, no?
لا.
Wait.
If it was idgham, I'll say hum aus, and now the sad would eat that noon. This is the last rule that we studied.
Oh, the Ikhfaa.
Yes. So the noon is not pronounced 100%. And since we have a heavy letter coming for the noon, we have to add heavy ghunna, heavy nasalization. الذين هم عن صلاتهم عن. The N is muted, tongue is not touching the palate, and we're getting ready to say this heavy sod. So this is the ruling of Ikhfaa.
Inshallah.
Surah Al-Quraysh, if you guys want to be cool, se los dejo para la tarea. It has all the letters, all the rulings of the letter Nun. It has it in here, especially at the end. We have Qalqalah, we have Idghaam, we have Ikhfaa, we have Idghaam, we have Idghaam, and we have Izhar. All the rulings are here, and you can hear it when someone recites. You're gonna be like mind blown, like wow. I still have difficulty reciting it. لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Yeah, just a bunch of combining. You combine the M, you hold into the, you don't pronounce the N 100% because of the Ikhfaa. Right here you combine into the Waw, and right here you combine the M, and then right here you pronounce the Nun 100% because there's a Kha afterwards. Fíjate, there's a little M at the end right here. Why? Because the next surah starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Ba is a letter of Iqlaab. So if you were to continue reading, you turn the Tanween into a meme. That's why there's a little meme right there. Amazing. Alhamdulillah. One last rule of Ikhfaa. This word, you're going to find it all over the Quran, is the word of al-insan. You pronounce it al-insan. Wal-asr. Innal insana lafi khusr. Insana. Why? Because the noon comes after the sin comes after the noon, so you don't pronounce it 100%. You don't say innal insana. You have to say innal insana. The mute is slightly muted. The tongue is floating in the mouth. So alhamdulillah, ahí les dejo. Si hay preguntas, my advice is just, again, listening to your favorite reciters, maybe picking up a Tajwid Quran and trying to follow the colors. The colors are going to tell you the rules, a lot of practice. Because you might hear, like, oh, why is that being said a certain way? You go look into it and you're like, oh, there's a rule being applied here. For the future, I can go over this again. The other thing is that there's also rules for meme that are not as much as the rules for noon. So once you see a meme that has sukun, or you apply these rules. And then finally, there's also little symbols all over the Quran that they tell you a certain rule. So in eso, I can explain to you guys that in the future. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much. Por ejemplo, right here in Surah Al-Baqarah, you have three dots. There's a rule being applied here. And if you go anywhere in the Quran, there's a little sad and a lam. There's another rule being applied here. And sad alam, another rule, sad and lam. Sad and lam. There's a meme right here, Iqlaab.
Just recite the whole surah, bro.
Qaf lam. There's another rule right here. I'm just pointing things out. Pero
I want to hear it.
There's also a la, there's also a sin, and there's also a jim that you're going to find on top that all tell you to do different things. Pero eso no es futuro, inshallah. Does anybody have any questions? Is it overwhelming? Oh, there's a little jim. That's what I was looking for. Little jim right here. Is it overwhelming? ¿Fue claro? Is there anything you guys want me to repasar?
It's a bit overwhelming.
Alhamdulillah. No hay problema.
But with practice, I think I just need to work on recognizing the letters, because with the with rule number 3, one of the examples you did, I did not see a ba, like I did not recognize a ba at all, but I guess I just need to practice how to recognize it.
I think I showed Surah Al-Layl for that one.
I think so.
The thing is that sometimes, and I hear it all the time, someone just learned the alphabet, for example, and then they see different types of fonts in the Quran or the way it was written, and then they get confused.
I didn't even know there was different fonts.
Oh yeah, let me show you that one first. So this is Tajwid. I can go to Uthmani. Boom. Mira como se mira poquito diferente.
Yeah.
And then I can go to Indo-Pak. And look at this.
Okay. So the letters might look different depending on the font.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go back because I like that Tajwid one. Really, how it looks. I read my Quran without. This is the one I like. And let's see, Surah Al-Layl. I think I know what you're referring to. That's why I'm going back to it. ¿Dónde estás, Layl? No, it should be down here. There it is. Okay, so right here, what's happening is that the ba is the little dot. Just the one dot is the ba.
So not the little boat-looking thing.
This little arm is just added because instead of combining the ba to this side, they decided to combine it over here. So now this line and the dot equals the ba.
Okay.
So
yeah, you see, like, I would have never known that. Even though I feel like for the most part I can recognize ba, but I would have never thought that the rule would apply there.
So since right here we're looking at a noon following or right before the ba, that's when we apply the rule, but we first have to recognize this ba.
That's about, yeah.
Yeah, and this is gonna happen often with ha, jim, and ha, because they do this little arm extension. I think it was the same thing in Surat al-Balad. Let's see, where are you? Oh, right here. Ayahsabu. When Isa read it, the ya has 2 dots. There's a ha under this arm.
Okay, I didn't even see that.
So it's just things that we have to kind of get used to. And I always give the example of prayer. If someone were to show you the du'as, al-Fatiha, you know, the chapter afterwards, the ruku', and they start naming all the rules of prayer, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're like, man, that's a lot of rules. Pero when somebody starts doing it, muscle memory, repetition, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
Here's another one right here. What letter is this one? Has a dot on top, so that's the hint.
Ta?
The ta has 2 dots. Which one has 1 dot on top?
It's
this letter right here.
The noon?
Noon. This is a noon right here.
Yeah, I see. That doesn't even look like a noon. So it's just going off of the dots.
Yes. You see the 1 dot, and then you have to take that little arm as just the indication that there's a letter. And so we have a noon, jim, ain, lam.
So it's like telling you there's a letter there, but that arm tells you that the other part of the letter is not there.
Yeah, and it's indicating that the noon, the dot is indicating the letter technically. So we have the noon here, and we have the ya here, and then we have the ba in the other example.
Okay.
It's again something we just have to get used to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. So if you guys want me to go this over any other time with you guys, no problema. Or again, look at all these rules. All these colors are rules. We can just start reading. And as we're reading, or if you have a teacher or if you have a friend that knows Tajwid, they'll break it down for you, you know. Lo que quería hacer con ustedes, first explain it. And then, right here, this ba is way more clearly visible. You have a meme indicating that there's a ba coming. Haylum bihada. Anyways, yeah, just recognizing it, and then you hear it, and then you're like, okay, that's how we read it, and that's how it should be applied and read. And inshallah, in time, one can read, like, the rules just come out naturally. My test for the Tajwid exam was to explain Surat al-Balad, explain all the rules with their names, what they do, and how do you pronounce it. So I had to explain the surah to my teacher, and alhamdulillah, I passed. Okay, guys, eso era todo. Si no hay preguntas, jazakallah khair por la oportunidad para ayudarles.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. As-salamuAlaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Good night, everyone.
Alhamdulillah.
Dímelo, Raúl, ¿cómo está la cosa?
Alhamdulillah, ¿cómo está Roberto?
Bien, llegué tarde a la clase porque venía de la mezquita. Cuando vi el mensaje, dije, ¿what? Y aceleré para llegar para acá, para escucharla, pero me tiré un buen rato. Tú sabes, yo tengo ese Corán que tú dices, el Tajwid. Ese fue el que yo me compré, tú ves. Pero una pregunta, tú no vas a grabar esta clase, ¿verdad? ¿Tú no la grabaste?
Sí la grabé, pero para ti te lo puedo explicar en español si quieres.
Ok, ¿cuándo tú crees que tú puedas dar eso otra vez para atrás?
Vamos a acomodarnos, no estoy seguro, pero vamos a acomodarnos y hago toda la clase pero en español para que se presente así.
Está bien, me dejas saber, me tira un mensaje por ahí entonces, ¿viste?
Órale.
Está bien, que muchas gracias, estuvo bien buena la clase.
Alhamdulillah.
Isa, dímelo.
Dímelo, Marín, ¿qué es lo que está pasando ahí? Ya tú sabes.
Del barrio, loco.
Ya tú sabes.
Tranquilo, Marito, tranquilo, suave.
Isa ya es maestro de Tajwid, ya entendió la regla 100% y ya sabe.
No diga eso porque
compadre,
no, yo no tengo, necesito un jazz ahora.
Si quieres un ijaza, I'll pick the surah y si me explicas todo, te lo doy.
Let's go. No.
Every rule and what it does.
I need more practice.
Subhanallah.
Inshallah.
And I won't pick a short surah tampoco.
Soon. I'm trying. I wrote down the notes.
Alhamdulillah.
I gotta practice on that stuff because I mean that's what I want to do. I want to have that ijazahs to help to teach. So
honestly, I wrote this 3 times and I had the same class 3 times over. A la tercera lo entendí mejor. My teacher explained to me exactly, and then we went to different surahs, and I didn't get it until the 3rd time. So it takes time, alhamdulillah. And some people pick it up faster than others, no problema.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, no, I mean, we'll see. Inshallah, I'm gonna do my best.
Inshallah. ¿Quién es Ruby? Hermana, ¿tienes pregunta? I think it's an hermana. Alhamdulillah. ¿Qué pasó, Roberto?
No, que hoy yo estaba cogiendo, tú sabes, todos los miércoles nos juntamos ahí en la mezquita y dan la clase de Islam y todo eso. Y hoy me dieron eso de las 2 rayitas debajo de la letra o arriba.
Mashallah.
Sí, cuando yo llegué justo a tiempo y pero ven acá, mira, eso es lo que me estaban explicando hoy de las 2 rayitas esas, porque ellos no dan clase de árabe todos los días, es como cada 2 semanas, ¿sabes? Porque una semana da un profesor una clase y después el otro miércoles da otro, así, porque nada más los miércoles que nos reunimos. Y él le tocó eso hoy, yo lo apunté cuando llegué, lo entendí un poco, tú sabes, pero me gustó eso. Me dejas saber cuando va a otra clase, ¿viste?
Claro, inshallah. I'll go ahead and get off, ya me bajo. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan.
Órale,
Assalamualaikum, bro.